Council members: Friedman.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Quintero.
Here.
Sinanian.
Here.
Mayor Weaver.
Here.
Agenda for the February 11, 2014 special public meeting of the City Council was posted on Thursday, February 6, 2014 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Item 1 is Director of Economic Development regarding consideration of resolution of intention to modify activities and not levy assessments within the Adams Square Business Improvement District. 1A is a resolution of intention to modify activities within the Adams Square Business Improvement District by suspending assessments and billing indefinitely through the 2014 calendar year.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. We've done this last year. Rather than dismantle the BID in hopes that at some point we'll be able to program for it again in some form when some type of economic development is reestablished by the state, we are asking that instead of disbanding it, that we simply do not levy the assessment for Adams Hill. The merchants there are aware of this, obviously are supportive of it in terms of not getting that assessment. If you have any specific questions, Jackie Bartlow, our program coordinator, is here.
Questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Council members: Friedman.
Yes.
Najarian.
Yes.
Quintero.
Yes.
Sinanian.
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
Aye. Next, please.
Next item is Director of Public Works regarding maintenance and operation and installation of a modernized parking access and revenue control system for the city-owned parking facilities. 2A is a resolution dispensing with competitive bidding and authorizing execution of a 5-year professional services agreement with 2 one-year extension options with Modern Parking, Inc. for a total contract amount not to exceed $18,507,048. That's it.
Mr. Cho.
Yes, sir. Late last year, the council gave us direction to work through a negotiated contract extension with MPI. I'm happy to say that the Public Works Department, in the person of Mr. Zern, our director, and Deputy Director Rubik Galani have done that. We have for you a project, or rather a contract for your consideration that we believe is good value. And our staff was able to drive a hard but fair bargain with MPI. And it's probably worth noting that once the council had given us the direction to work the negotiation with MPI, that we were able to really unlock other opportunities that were out there. But with no further ado, I'll have Mr. Zern come up, ably assisted by Mr. Galanian, and give you a very brief presentation, answer whatever questions you might have.
Mr. Zern, during your presentation, just answer one question for me.
Sure.
It's the sentence that says it will now be staffed 24/7 by intercom. It says this type of mixed operation allows the parking fees to be charged 24/7, which will increase overall revenue by 15 to 25%. It kind of is misleading saying the parking fees will be charged 24/7. And I thought we don't charge after 10 o'clock at night.
Well, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, one of our objectives in putting in the new automated equipment into the garages was to make them operational 24/7. And we had discussed that, and because we will then have people using the parking structure after hours for free, parking overnight, and for extended periods of time. So this automated system, with, as you said, the intercom that goes back to a central command post, if you will, for MPI, allows us to continue to take those tickets and revenue that goes with it as people use the parking structure. So if you're using our parking structure to park overnight, you're a guest in an area, you're maybe somebody that's parking for a business after hours, you'll still have to pay that fee because now we can manage it with the automated system.
Okay, did we change that when we set the hours of operation 2-3 years ago, whatever?
Our hours of enforcement on the street and the meters has been till 10 o'clock. We don't have those same operational hours in the garages.
I forgot that. I thought we were free after 10 o'clock. Okay.
On the street and in the surface lots.
Yeah, but not in the
Right.
garages.
Let me just say that what I've noticed, and I won't name the parking lot, but in one of the parking lots, number one, there's an inordinate amount of big pickup trucks. They're obviously part of the crews that are working on on all of the different projects. But I've also noticed the number of pickup trucks that never move. So those trucks, when they move out, once the system's employed, they're going to have to pay to kind of store, they have to pay to store their their trucks. I mean, they're just working guys. Maybe they're commuting. It's a good thing, I guess. But I've noticed that there was a whole bunch of them all sort of parked in the same area. It was up on, I think, like the third floor. So
Yeah, likely workers, and so just because we have that hole that you're able to use our facilities and not pay your fair share, this automated system, which is one of the reasons we were really pushing hard to get this in, allows us to close that gap.
So they won't be sneaking in early anymore.
They're welcome to use the lot. They'll just pay their fair share. That's the bottom line. But overall, as Mr. Ochoa said, we're very happy with the results of our negotiations since you set us on our course December 17th. Kudos to both the engineering and parking staff, but also to MPI staff who came to the table ready to make this happen. I think one of the big things, as I mentioned, was we got the parks, the parking control equipment is part of this new contract, or this proposed new contract that allows us to finance it through the 7 years of the agreement. That helps us tremendously in relieving us of the burden of having to put the full $3 million or so out, $2.5 to $3 million out. It also gives us an opportunity to have the vendor who puts it in and maintains it and manages it. So I think that was a win for us. We got a very good price. MPI honored the $2.3 million price that they had originally quoted us. We gave them some specific parameters on the type of equipment we would accept. That's included in this. We will get only that equipment which we accept. And I think we feel very comfortable. I know we feel very comfortable with the equipment that's going in. As far as the details of the contract, I have to tell you, they have honored most of their line item budget quotes to us. And by that I mean that, for instance, if you take the equipment amortization out of this and get a more apples-to-apples comparison, the contract that they're proposing for the first year is about $2 million. Today, that contract, the last one that you approved on the extension, is 1.8. So you can see we haven't moved that much. And with that, I will add two very important factors that had to go into the contract. One is the increase in the minimum wage, and two is the Affordable Care Act. Both very costly items that weren't included in the previous contract. They've been rolled into this contract, and we're still keeping it very, very competitive. I think a note, staff went back and ran. 2009 is when we awarded this contract originally. Staff ran the numbers from MPI today and compared them to 2009. They still would have been the most competitive bidder in 2009 with today's prices that they quoted us. So we're really happy about where this went. We've added a garage, the Civic Auditorium garage, which previously was not within the parking sphere of operations. We've added that. And I'll note that MPI has put in their contract the minimum wage and the affordable care, and we decided to go conservative on that. So there's, some of the details haven't been nailed down. So I would rather they put the larger number in and we not have to come back to you later. But in the event that number comes out something less than what they've budgeted, we only pay for what it actually is. That's been our history with them. I think that we've been somewhere in the neighborhood. We've been 6 figures probably under budget every year. Savings we've accrued through their finding better deals to do things. Even though the contract amount may say it's $1.5 million, we only end up paying 1.314 because they've been able to go through during the course of the year and lower their costs. They've been very good at that. I expect the same from them in the future. We worked out a couple of the maintenance issues that were kind of bogging us down a little bit in the past, and to a successful conclusion on that. But overall, I think we've got a really good agreement, and considering some of the outside factors that are putting pressure on, I think this is as good agreement as we're going to get with a vendor who has provided us a good service, and we look forward to another 7 years in that relationship.
But will they still have security walking through the garages?
Yes, security. You and anyone else who's a user of the facility should not see any difference. They will continue to maintain, clean it. They'll be visible. They'll provide the security at our facilities. A couple of things that came up during the negotiations. One was lighting and how difficult it's been, and we're going to address that in a different manner. As you may know, we put LED lighting in the Civic Center garage, which made a tremendous difference. We're going to do that at every one of our facilities, including the train station. And that will cut down our costs tremendously and relieve them of some of the burden they've had to go through to maintain the lights. So we worked out a lot of details in this agreement.
And we may recognize up to 25% more profit revenues.
Revenues, yes, as the additional hours Correct.
revenue, which might help on the LED lights too.
Correct. That will go back in the parking fund, and absolutely we can use it. Plus the electrical savings from the lighting itself.
Mr. Najarian?
Have you discussed the operation of the Civic Center, the Civic Auditorium garage?
The garage, yes.
With regard to the college students and their passes, and
Yes.
I imagine it's all doable, but you just need to work it out and come to some agreement. So you're going to be
Absolutely.
handling those details?
Absolutely. We've exposed MPI to that already. We just had a JPA meeting with the college, and our JP is actually running out. And so we're now contemplating what the future is going to be between us here now and everybody on TV. We think the relationship has been good. We'd like to continue it. In what manner remains to be seen. But absolutely, we've taken MPI through that process, shown them the operation, shown how it works, exposed them to the JPA, and they're all very confident that they can incorporate that garage into the system flawlessly.
And then also in terms of setting rates, none of the contract figures that we have make any presumption on the parking rates that we set. We still maintain all flexibility.
That's correct. That's correct. You set the parking rates for all of our parking.
Any other? Mr. Quintero, then Mr.
Yeah. Following the cost proposal summary, Exhibit 1, it's still kind of difficult to, I guess my question is, just a ballpark figure. At the end of 7 years, how much more do you think the city will be able to realize in terms
of the additional revenue? We were pretty conservative in our estimates there, Mr. Quintero, but I think if you take that 25% and carry it out, we're actually thinking it's going to be more, to be honest with you. But we wanted to be conservative and not throw a number out there that was not reachable and have people's expectations be raised. But I think we can get more than that. But I think conservatively, if you said we were able to increase our revenues by 25% throughout the 7-year term of that agreement.
But that's what I mean. Have you done an actual number amount?
It would probably be, let's see, about $225,000 to $375,000 a year extra.
From 235 to 275 a year.
To 375, actually. 225 to 375. So if we go on the more
Right.
the more
Okay.
ambitious
That's-
end of it, we think we could realize even more.
Not counting
And
the
then-
LED.
What?
Not counting the LED savings.
Yeah, you're right. Which will be a big savings after the initial outlay. Then in terms of the employees, the whole idea is to obviously have less people involved in parking operations. You have supervisors, maintenance people, but generally less people. So I would assume that MPI will be transferring them to other locations that don't have.
That's what we've been told, yes. So yeah, there is obviously a reduction in staff here, and through either attrition or moving them to some of their other operations, that's how they'll deal with that.
Because they did keep their word when they took over from the previous operator. They basically kept the same crew that had been working for
They
the
did.
other.
They made every effort to hire back those that were left when the previous contract.
Mr. Sinani.
Yeah, and I have to say this is a very impressive result, specifically in terms of having a bid pre-increase in the minimum wage and the Affordable Care Act, and to honor that bid. It's really impressive. And every contractor that comes in front of this dais and reasons or tries to justify an increase in the service that they provide by the fact that there's higher cost associated with the increase in the minimum wage or the Affordable Care Act, I'm going to bring them as an example. And they should all be aware, because it is possible to stay within cost, stay within the ceiling that's existed before and still provide a good service to the city of Glendale.
It's apparent here.
Thank you. Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move the item.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmembers Friedman,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Quintero,
Yes.
Sinanian,
Yes.
Mayor Weaver.
Aye. I hear a motion to adjourn. Second. Okay, we stand adjourned at 3:30. And now we'll have